Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Nikki Keefe from the University of North Carolina, here for the Vein and Lymphatic University Voices newsletter. I'm joined with my partner, Dr. Gloria Salazar, and next year's Society of Interventional Radiology Program Chair. So welcome, Gloria. It's very glad to have you here today. So tell me, what is one of your favorite parts of this past year's SIR?
Well, thank you very much, Nikki, for having me. It's great to be here talking about this year's SIR meeting. Well, I think that my favorite part was really the organization, the contents. We had less sessions happening with more content that were not otherwise covered in previous years. And we also had a lot of attention to have open discussion forums, such as in town halls, for topics that are perhaps controversial or just topics that are linked to research.
What are some of those topics that you're mentioning that might be interesting to our VLU listeners?
So we had actually sessions that were combined with, for example, vascular surgeons and other vascular specialists in vein disease. So we had several multidisciplinary sessions focused on venous disease. We had a live case presentation with ultrasound this year. We also had it last year, but this year I think we had a more comprehensive and more attendance because obviously it was in the beginning of the SIR that we had that. Other things that can relate to the VLU audience relate to the discussion on pelvic venous disease as far as management, knowing that, we do have a new classification system, so a lot of focus on educating other interventionalists and how to evaluate those patients and categorize them. And the last piece, which I think it's somewhat related to VLU, it's all this data that we have now in terms of pulmonary thrombectomy versus lysis, and lots of discussion about trials and data analysis that we had during the meeting.
That's great. There's such a large variety of topics covered at SIR. It's one of my favorite meetings, not just for the content, but for the people as well. One of my favorite parts of this past meeting was the announcement of the embolized trial. As our readers probably know, Dr. Gloria Salazar is one of the lead PIs. Can you tell us about the impetus behind developing this trial and what it's aiming to solve?
Yeah, that was announced at the second day or the third plenary session at the SIR, the embolized trial. I am one of the co-principal investigators, together with my colleague, Dr. Ron Winokur from Cornell University in New York. And really, this is a work of love. And Ron started it back a couple of years back when he was designing a trial for evaluating the role of gonadal vein embolization, ovarian vein embolization in patients with pelvic venous disease. Now, over the years, of course, we learned a lot about that there are different patient presentations. So what this study aims at is really to evaluate patients with chronic pelvic pain and ovarian vein or internal iliac vein reflux, and how does the embolization helps in terms of pain management as well as other quality of life scores. So we are really aiming at answering the question and putting this question into the highest levels of scientific rigor in terms of does that really help or not. We did have a lot of studies over the last 25 years, but no study was really designed in a manner that this study has been designed. And there was a lot of work on not only from the co-principal investigators, but also from a steering committee that was multidisciplinary and put together by Ron Winokur and other team members. So I'm very proud to say that the official announcement is at SIR. It was at SIR, and we're going to start hopefully enrolling soon.
Awesome. You alluded to it, but tell me more about how the study was designed to solve this problem.
So what we design is a randomized trial of patients with pelvic venous reflux, either in the ovarian or in the internal iliac veins, with chronic pelvic pain alone. And in the SVP category, this will allude to the patients S2. So we really want to focus on that patient population because we don't want to have any confounders such as venous compression or patients who have extrapelvic symptoms, which are also patients that we treat in our daily practice. And so by separating or homogenizing the patient eligibility criteria, our hope is that we can get sufficient evidence to support embolization as a mainstream treatment for those patients and avoid issues like insurance coverage as well as lack of awareness from other physicians or lack of understanding from other specialties and how this disease process work. So specifically, we're going to be selecting S2 patients without compression, and we will be randomizing them for a venographic evaluation versus a ovarian vein or internal iliac vein embolization. And then at 6, we're going to collect data on improvement of pain as well as surveys of quality of life and other symptoms, specific symptoms to pelvic venous disease. And at 6 months, those patients are going to be blinded for the whole period of the study, which is 6 months. And at 6 months, they're going to be unblinded, and there's going to be a crossover in offering treatment for the patients that did not have the embolization done and to finally have their gonadal or ovarian or internal iliac veins treated.
Well, it sounds as though you guys have put a lot of work into developing what hopefully is a very fruitful study in helping solve this problem for our patients. It's obvious that it's something you're very passionate about, and so I'm looking forward to the results. So tell me, as next year's SIR chair, what are you looking forward to? What are you going to change in the program? What's going to be different for next year?
So that's a great question. We already have gotten some feedback about current challenges that affects interventional radiologists, but I think that these challenges affect all of us, vascular surgeons, cardiologists, and really about, how the organizations, private equity, and, patient access to care is being affected by changes in the way that we organize healthcare in general. But what I'm most focused on is to really focus on patient outcomes and have discussions about how we better improve access to care, have discussions about innovation and how do we keep research in such an environment of very competitive funding for research, as well as discussions on how interventional radiology can actually impact population health management and other technologies that we could use to do that. So I think it's going to be a broad program. I think it's probably going to shrink a little bit more than this year because we felt that some of the town halls, which were intended to have like discussions with the participants, were really well attended, but I think we needed to reduce a little bit to get more availability to other members to attend.
Great. Well, I'm really looking forward to SIR 2025 in Nashville, which I've never been, but I love country music, so I'm excited.
Oh yeah, no, we love country music. It's going to be great.
Well, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Nikki, for having me.